Hello and welcome to AleksConnects Creative Sandbox making WWE Superstars art. My name is Alex. Here I am. This is Tony. No, this is Body. Come on, man. And today we are continuing to talk about WWE again, quite a bit. I don't know. We need to talk about NXT, 205 Live, and NXT UK. I'm not going to talk about that much because I kinda super tired and I actually want to sleep. I don't believe my voice is going to hold up, like talking too much. So in most cases we'll try to basically continue to prepare CM Punk for continuous painting, or like basically... Okay, I need to make sure that the camera is going to work properly. Oh snap, I'm tired. For some reason there's double streaming now. I don't know what's happening. Like, for some reason it's streaming episodes like session 13, which was actually yesterday, and session 14. It's weird. Like double streaming. It's whatever. It's really weird stuff. So let me check this quickly and we'll continue. So again, I can watch S13 and S14 session, and it's kind of the same. So again, I can... it's truly the same, it's weird. Either way, I don't know how to make this right, truly. There's no way to change this. I mean, if stream is public, I can't do anything about it. So, I guess whatever. Streaming now... it's weird. This is the first time that it's happening, like this double streaming thing. Hopefully it's not going to result in anything like super weird. Either way. So yeah, let's just go and so what we're going to talk about today. Either way. Yeah, we're going to quickly cover NXT. Again, the idea of what I wanted to do, what I want to do throughout the stream is to basically, as I said before, I kind of don't want to repaint the tattoos on CM Punk's body. It's not necessarily the important stuff for the first painting, and also this is not a first try. I mean, let me show you the true first try. Yeah, I had a test try before, so here it is. So yeah, I'm going to, what I will do throughout today's session, I will try to place this tattoo that I already spent time drawing on this kind of test version of the CM Punk study, which was unproportionate, and I actually kind of painted like randomly without any kind of system, and I will translate it into our current step-by-step painting, which is oh, it's actually pretty interesting. I mean, we could actually take the information with new CM Punk, because again we have two layers. So yeah, my main idea is to basically transfer this tattoo area into this thing, and this is the only thing that we probably will manage to do today, because again I kind of didn't sleep enough, like only a couple of hours, and my voice is going to die pretty quickly, and I might actually go to sleep during the stream. Just basically drop. Yeah, wrestling and talking about wrestling will definitely keep me going. So watch the NXT UK, both episodes. It was pretty interesting. I mean, we're not going to talk about that much, but hopefully. Okay, we'll start with 205 Live. 205 Live wasn't an actual episode, it was kind of a special, Christmas special. The whole point of this episode was just basically best moments throughout the 205 year, since 205 basically got live TV. So they basically talked about the year, like best moments and etc. It was kind of average episode, nothing special, just basically revisited a couple of things, a couple of interviews from Buddy Murphy, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, and etc. So not that much, Noam Dar, and yeah. So we're not going to talk about 205 Live that much, because again, what's happening out there, it kind of seems weird for now. I mean, I definitely believe that 205 Live needs new blood from NXT to make it a little bit more interesting. It was actually awesome when 205 Live had appearances of Roderick Strong and other guys from NXT. It was pretty interesting. I get that, like, they are on NXT, but again, if they would more often appear on 205 Live, I believe 205 Live would have more audience. But again, it depends in what direction company wants to move the 205 Live division. Like, maybe at some point it's just not going to be separate, and they will fuse it with the regular show if it's not going to be successful. But I believe it's kind of working. I mean, like, for instance, like the Leo Rush example, he actually appeared on 205 Live, and in my opinion, he made 205 Live finally exciting. But then he basically disappeared because they give him a much more permanent job as a Bobby Lashley's hype man. So, and since then he's not necessarily appearing on 205 Live and not necessarily having that many matches, but all matches that he had on 205 Live was freaking sick. I mean, definitely has potential. He also pretty good on microphone, kind of annoying, has pretty annoying voice, but this is what fits his gimmick, which is pretty cool. So I don't have anything against that either way. So love for Leo Rush is super awesome. Hopefully he will continue to grow and not getting fired because of the weird reasons, like too young, like too much success, and etc. Hopefully it's not going to happen. So yeah, there's nothing to talk about again. Like, the Brian Kendrick lately transitioned from heel to come on, my brain doesn't work today. Yeah, Brian Kendrick transitioned from heel to face. Now he's trying to pair with Akira Tozawa, as I remember, and tries to basically appear differently. He actually completely gets rid of his beard and now looks like young Brian Kendrick in the early days when he entered with Ezekiel Jackson. So it was pretty interesting. Hideo Itami kind of, they're trying to push him. He's still not necessarily working, but they paired up him with kind of a manager. Arya Daivari got back, and it kind of works. I mean, Daivari actually helps him a bit on microphone, and overall, like, pushing him, it kind of works. Cedric, after losing a title, kind of hit a rough patch. I don't know, it was pretty weird. So I believe he just, like, everything that happens within Lucha House Party, I don't get it. I mean, I believe they have to be utilized much more seriously, because they are serious wrestlers, and I don't necessarily like when they are portraying them as a comedy act. For me, it's just not working, like party stuff. I don't know. Personally, it's just my thing. I don't like this type of stuff. Like piñatas, no, it's weird. Although this is a part of their culture, but like, don't abuse it too much. Don't make it your gimmick. It's just weird. So when it comes down to Jack Gallagher and Drew Gulak, they're kind of an interesting tag team, but unfortunately they're not working yet for some reason. I don't know. I actually like Jack Gallagher separately more than them together, and the whole thing, like, trio with Brian Kendrick didn't work either. It was weird. Buddy Murphy as champion is pretty sick. I mean, I definitely would want to see more matches against super awesome guys here. I removed I removed Mustafa Ali from here because now he's an official member of SmackDown family. I believe he still will appear at 205 Live at some instances, but I don't believe that it's going to be that often now, because he getting pushed on SmackDown pretty much on a weekly basis after he got hired there on a permanent basis, basically 2 or 3 weeks. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, the story with the Drake Maverick and him pissing himself because of the Big Show on pay-per-view, like, it was weird. It didn't work for him, but again, he still kind of didn't lost the overall general manager feeling. I don't know. I feel like he kind of maintained his status still, which is pretty interesting. Maria again appeared with Mike Kanellis, as we talked about it before. I don't know. We'll see where he's going to go. Like, didn't saw that much from Mike Kanellis yet. Hopefully we'll see more of him. I still not sure like what to make of him as a wrestler. He's kind of capable, but again, he's kind of semi-old school, and I don't know. We'll see. Tony Nese actually got pushed pretty much, like a lot. Actually were in the main event. They're kind of paired with pretty good buddies with the Buddy Murphy. Well, they're trying to basically take over the whole division, which is pretty interesting. What else? So, like, as I said before, the only thing about 205 Live that I don't like that they're not focusing that much on developing characters. I mean, I wish there was more character development. They're kind of trying to do so, but it's not working, and they're still pushing you when it's not working. So I don't know. Maybe it's just you just don't have time. Maybe you don't need like complex characters when it comes down to the super like awesome matches like this. But I don't know. Okay, I try not to talk about WWE that much, sorry for that, so, because, again, maybe, because I'm not in condition to work today either, so, again, there is the reason why I'm not streaming WWE streams lately, because I just don't have an energy and time to do this, just basically, yeah. Even today I wanted to stream 2 hours, and it, again, in the last minute, cut it to 1 hour. But again, since this is the last year, I kind of wanted to talk about WWE because I didn't cover lots of stuff that happened throughout the months, and there's a lot of stuff that happened throughout the months. So let's just go into the NXT. So NXT actually worked super awesome. No, I guess we'll talk about NXT a little bit later. Yeah, first let's just cover 205 to UK. So when it comes down to NXT UK, I mean, we didn't talk about anyone since then. I mean, at that point, I believe I just started to put some wrestlers in here. Now we see a little bit more extended roster. There's a lot of guys here and gals that actually work pretty awesome. Like personally, I like Saya Brooks. I like I don't know. She definitely has potential. Like of course Dakota Kai, but she's not necessarily like constantly fighting there because she's kind of trying to balance actual NXT and UK and NXT UK. I still don't get how they're actually recording the episodes themselves. Like truly, I don't know how this happens. Like either they recorded them like months ago and now airing them one by one, so there's no actual time frame. So and because every week we're seeing 2 episodes for 2 weeks before that, and it's just weird. I don't know. I don't like this type of element. Like for me, pre-recorded shows are fine as long as you have like delay at least like less than a week. But when you have delay like months, it's just like throws me off a little bit, and I don't like. I'm not getting invested that much because for me there's no connection between multiple kind of things. So for instance, when I'm seeing Noam Dar on UK and at the same day I'm seeing him on 205 Live, for me it's just kind of killing it a little bit because like come on, he can't be like in one place at the same time, and although I know that all of this is pre-recorded, but still it messes with my head and it's not working. So yeah, so overall division is pretty strong. I mean the women's division is pretty strong. There's a couple of kind of wrestlers that are not like super like sick, but they're actually kind of fine, and we still need to see more from them in order to say something. So they're trying like they announced that there's going to be a takeover, NXT UK takeover, I believe Blackpool, or no, I don't remember. Not Blackpool. Either way, so they're going to basically launch a first NXT takeover UK, which is going to be pretty interesting. I don't know. I believe it's super fast. Like in the pace that now NXT UK is moving, it's super fast. I don't believe that they're established that well to actually get like super awesome audience on takeover. I mean, of course, they're going to present it for the UK audience, which means that they're going to buy it, but I'm not sure like what are actual ratings for NXT UK at this particular point, and overall rating on the network. So like how good it's doing or whatever. Since I'm not sure about this, I don't know if it's going to work or not. But actually, there's a lot of capable superstars here. I mean, Ligero is killing over almost every match. Who else? I didn't like Jordan Devlin before because again, there's too many similarities with Finn Balor. But since then, he actually kind of made it on his own, and he actually started to kind of gain this overconfidence. Then it grew into something much more stronger, and he actually kind of works. Yeah, we didn't see that many from Tucker, the Budge. Travis Banks will return next week. Zach Gibson is kind of the main heel after Pete Dunne. Since we're not seeing Pete Dunne that much lately, Zach Gibson is basically taking over the Liverpool #1. Wild Boar's pretty impressive. I mean, he's small, but he's at the same time big. It's pretty kind of agile. Amir Jordan, probably, as I remember, probably he's in a tag team with someone. Maybe with Kenny Williams. They're kind of, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm still adjusting to new faces. Like, I remember them, but I need time a little bit to get to know them a little bit better. Don't like Eddie Dennis. I mean, he's getting pushed as the only big guy at the roster, but I truly don't like him. I don't know. Something just doesn't work with him for me personally. James Drake paired with and tag team with whom? With Joe Coffey? No. Oh no, with Gibson. Yeah, they're actually kind of want to be the best tag team in the division. But again, tag team titles are coming. Hopefully, these guys will win them because I kind of want them to win. Mark Coffey is pairing with another guy, so there's a lot of tag teams, a lot of weird stuff going on. Still need to adjust to it. Like, feuds are still not clear. They're kind of coming and going, and there's no continuous like storytelling still for me personally. I'm not getting it yet. So again, it's just a start, but and they're already having a takeover, which is I believe is premature, but still, hopefully it will work. Either way, and now we know that Toni Storm is going to fight Rhea Ripley on the pay-per-view, on their first pay-per-view. It's pretty cool. On Takeover. Pete Dunne is going to. I'm not sure who's going to be who is going to face Pete Dunne. I kind of missed that. I don't know. Either way. So yeah, let's just switch to NXT, regular NXT, and after we'll finish talking about NXT, we will proceed to the CM Punk and actually transfer this, where is it? Isolate layer. No. And we will transfer from our test CM Punk tattoos that I spent a decent amount of time drawing, in order to not redraw them, because again, like, I started from the scratch this version of the CM Punk, and when I started from the scratch, like, I don't want to spend too much time on redrawing all tattoos. I spent pretty considerable amount of time to draw in those tattoos, and instead of redrawing them, it's better to actually copy paste them and then kind of correct them a little bit better and work with that. But first, let's just finish talking about WWE. Again, I'm super tired. I kind of want to sleep like crazy. Okay, so I'm going to cover only the last couple of weeks of NXT, only the things that I will remember, because since then there's a lot of things happened. Again, we saw a super awesome pay-per-view with War Games. In the War Game, Hansen and Raw competed against Undisputed Era and Pete Dunne and someone else actually and Ricochet, and they actually killed this match. It was pretty sick. Since then, we didn't saw that much Ricochet because I guess he got either injured or basically got disappeared for quite some time. He actually fought a couple of matches. I don't remember, but lately we're not seeing him the last couple of weeks. So Aleister Black again got back, as we talked about yesterday. Now Johnny Gargano is like already feud with them, and now Aleister Black is fighting Tommaso Ciampa for the championship, and hopefully Johnny Gargano will fight Ricochet and win the title. And as Tommaso Ciampa said in the last show, NXT show, that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano is going to rule NXT. the world overall, because they're both going to hold the kind of majority of the titles in NXT, which would be an awesome thing. Again, Matt Riddle kind of impressive, but his matches are relatively short for now, and he still needs to improve. I don't know. I still didn't saw like the buzz. Like he actually kind of, I don't know, definitely has a name in indies, but still not seeing it because he didn't fought that much. Cesar Banyoni disappeared. We didn't saw him. EC3 got slightly injured, got laid off for a couple of months or probably weeks, and then got back. Okay, Cash feuds against Matt Riddle. Actually, next week on a New Year's episode, we're going to see them fight, I guess, as a pre-recorded special, I believe. Fabian Aichner transitioned into a 205 or into NXT UK now. He appears more then in a little bit different gimmick. Keith Lee fought a couple of times, but now he's kind of disappeared for a couple of weeks. Lars Sullivan disappeared too. They're preparing him for main roster. Conor Reeves kind of disappeared too. Wesley, Riker, and Cutler fought this week. I don't know, they're not that impressive. I mean, they're not working for some reason. I don't know. Like, Riker is pretty intimidating, but people are not looking at him as a good wrestler. So because of this, you're not seeing the full picture. I believe they need a good kind of story and feud in order to get noticed, I guess. Last week we saw Marina Shafir and Jasmine Duke finally fight. I don't know. I guess that they still don't have that much of an experience in actual WWE after MMA, but they definitely picked up pretty well, and we'll see what's happened what will happen with them. So yeah, Marcel Bartel kind of got his debut last week on NXT, and this week at UK he actually fought in one of the matches against forgot the guy, small high flyer who enters with his own soul, Mark Andrews. Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't saw that much from the Mighty. Again, they're not working. I like them more when they were a TM61. I don't like what they're doing at this particular instance as heels. They're not working as heels. So these guys are disappeared for quite a lot. Dosovic and Knight fought for the Tag Team Championships in the last NXT, and they're almost won. It was a pretty interesting match. These guys are disappeared again, probably not working. So, yeah, Shayna Baszler not fighting that much. Again, a couple of weeks she probably fought in the main event for the title. That was a pretty cool match. Yeah, Deonna Purrazzo not fighting that much. Io Shirai almost fights in every show, which is pretty cool. Tyler Conti kind of disappeared. Lacey Evans again fought this week in Fatal 4-Way. By the way, this week was Fatal 4-Way. Lacey Evans versus Bianca Belair versus Fatal 4-Way versus Io Shirai, and who was the fourth? Mia Yim. Yeah, and it was actually a pretty cool match. I mean, they tried lots of stuff. The only problem was in timing. This is one of the problems in most of the matches for me. They could be potentially pretty good, but because of the bad timing, they didn't work like an overall. So there were a lot of impressive moves, a lot of interesting ideas throughout the match, throughout this Fatal 4-Way for the #1 contender, and most of these things didn't work because of the issues with timing. And of course, Bianca Belair won. I'm happy for her. I definitely would want to see Bianca Belair against Kairi Sane. Although I believe Kairi Sane quite overpushed, and they might not show a proper match. I actually would want to see Shayna Baszler fight against. Wait a minute. Who's the title holder? Kairi Sane or Shayna Baszler. I believe Shayna Baszler actually lost the title, but I might mistaken, and actually I completely forgot to switch them. No, I believe Shayna Baszler is not. Okay, I'm going to check this later, not today, but there's a good possibility that I mixed up the championships and Shayna Baszler actually holding the title. Hold on, I'm not sure. No, actually, yes, I believe Shayna Baszler is holding the title. No, let me check it out. So WWE Superstars. So wait a second, because there's so many title changes lately. There were so many title changes lately that I'm just basically kind of forgetting some things. So what do we have? So, you know, Brock Lesnar holding the title, Daniel Bryan, Ronda Rousey, Asuka, Dean Ambrose, Rusev, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, The Bar, Buddy Murphy. Yep, Shayna Baszler actually holding the title. I completely forgot to change it. Yeah. So, yeah. So, seeing Bianca Belair against Shayna Baszler is definitely going to be better than Bianca Belair against Kairi. So, for me, just personally, this is something that kind of... Okay, Candice LeRae has to be closer to Johnny Gargano. Yeah, so yeah, Shayna Baszler is holding the title here. I completely forgot to switch it. The rest is probably true. Ricochet, Shayna Baszler, the Undisputed Era, Rhea Ripley, and Pete Dunne. Because at some point I basically lost when exactly Shayna Baszler won the title. So yeah, Bianca Belair is going to fight Shayna Baszler, which is going to be a pretty awesome one. So yeah, Velveteen Dream kind of disappeared somewhere. He fought a couple of awesome matches, but again, hopefully they're going to use him because he needs experience because before getting pushed to the main roster, and the only way to get it is to give him more matches. Nikki Cross again has disappeared because she's getting prepared for the main roster. These guys are injured, recovering from the War Games still, and then got back. Montez, Forward, and Angelo Dawkins disappeared too, and they're not using them that well. So they thought a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, but didn't appear that much. They tried to push Vanessa Bourne for quite a bit, but then got quiet. Deanna Purrazzo fought on this week's NXT UK against Rhea Ripley for the title, lost. Yeah, I guess that's it. Let's just finish on that because again, Candice LeRae kind of started to push. They started to push her, and I actually like her as a heel. She kind of works like as a heel, and Johnny Gargano as a heel is pretty sick too. Again, he transitioned too after he betrayed attacked Aleister Black. By the way, he's perfect heel for me personally. I love these type of heels as Johnny Gargano. He's not necessarily like the heel that appears like complete heel. He appears like a person that knows that he's doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. So he's kind of a good guy that with the shifted moral compass that will get on track. So kind of delusional, which is awesome. I love these type of characters. Like for instance, Daniel Bryan in this particular instance, he's kind of heel, but he's spreading the right word. Like, that makes sense. The same goes for Johnny Gargano. They're kind of different still, but I know. I like these type of heels. Love what they're doing. Tommaso Ciampa is pretty sick. I mean, since he actually got title, he's killing it. I mean, come on. Yeah. This was kind of it. So let's just switch over to the drawing, painting, and slowly end up this New Year thing. There's a shame that there's no indicator how far long is streaming. No, actually there is an indicator of 33 minutes. Okay, cool. So let's just start retransitioning things. So the main idea here is to take the area from here with the tattoos and in order to not redraw them, just transition them into the... Actually, could copy quite a lot with the form too. But I don't want to copy too much because I worked with this version of the test with... Seriously? Oh, we're not seeing selection, that's why. In this version of the painting, I worked with painting from the black and white, and then I started to add color. But with this current version that we're working with, I actually right away started with the color, and I didn't work like separately with black and white. I kind of switch in sometimes to black and white to see if I'm maintaining the right values, but in most cases I'm trying to work right away with the color, because the whole idea of it is to actually work with the color right away. This is one of the reasons why I decided to repaint what I drew, what I painted, because again, like ideally we could actually end up with just this. It's fine. It still kind of had bad colors, but in terms of the rendering, we could of course work on it a little bit more, but it actually works like decent. But again, since I worked on this improperly, so there's a lot of problems here with the colors. Because I started with black and white, I started to like paint over with the color mode overlay, and because of this we created a lot of bad like bleeds of dirty color, which doesn't appear properly, and because of this it just basically looks dirty and bad. So with this area with tattoos, it's not necessarily important because it's not a primary area of focus. The main area for us is this. So, and this is one of the reasons why I don't want to draw tattoos, because I will focus on them too much and will detail them too much. So it's better to actually duplicate whatever we have here, paste it on top of it, and yeah, do exactly that. Okay, yeah, that's it. Now, on, and here we are. So, and we don't need to paint anything else. So, I mean, like, why would I? Of course, it's pretty far from the real skeleton. I mean, we definitely will work on covering colors. I don't believe that I'm going to maintain the same proportions or try to keep up with the same pattern and drawings that Steampunk has on his skin. It's not important for this particular instance. This is just a test. For me, the main idea in this test is to just test the overall process, because this is something that I still don't have. I don't have like the solid process of creating. Okay, wet paint. Let me see what brush we're usually going to work with. For that, let's just start with round, flat. Yeah, flat round. It's going to create like small transitions like this. Of course, we could just do a blending. It could be a good idea, by the way, to combine them together maybe, or use the overlay. Let's see, let's just experiment quite a bit. So, let's see. So first, let's just try to experiment with the layers. Maybe we could maintain better colors. I don't believe that it's going to work though, because I need a little bit more warmth from this. And in normal mode, it's kind of cool. If I will try to find something that looks a little bit warmer, maybe we'll keep it. Yeah, actually, this looks pretty interesting. Negative. Substructive. Argus Tangent. Experimenting with layers is sometimes interesting because it might lead you to pretty interesting results. You might actually kind of amaze yourself with the results. Yeah, we're good to keep the standard. It's just pointless to try anything else. Normal. Now, what we need to do is we need to combine them together. Mesh them. Or maybe not. Okay, let's just make them a little bit more fit. Okay, let's try this. Combine them. Put these things inside and see. It kind of works. I need to change the position and the position of the skull. Enable guides that we used to understand placement for these parts. And I doubt that we're going to paint that much today. Again, this is just a prep work. We're going to finish this prep work. I maybe I will get rid of this. I'm not planning to do that much today because I don't know when exactly we will completely get back those streams. As I said, like these WWE streams for now, I'm not ready to stream them. Like I wanted to start them so badly since September. I started them. It was pretty exciting for the first couple of months, but then basically since there's no audience and there's no way to find the audience at all, like no one actually is going to find me because YouTube doesn't have any system whatsoever to find this type of content. And also I'm kind of creating pretty specific content that kind of fuses the artistic side and WWE side, and I know that there's not that many people who are actually interested in both. And since my streams are kind of weird, like I'm starting streams usually by talking about WWE, which for artists are not going to be interesting at all. But when I'm they might not basically wait till I will start painting, and I might talk about WWE most of the session. And the opposite is also weird. Could be true. Like the audience could find me, look me, for instance, painting, but not being interested in the paintings themselves because I'm not going to talk about WWE like the certain part of the session. So it's just weird for me personally. Like I'm still trying to find the balance. I will maintain these streams. Like I definitely want to make something out of them. I want to create a separate kind of niche for creative side with the WWE element like of it. Because again, I am patient about art and about WWE, and I kind of want to connect those passions together. And if I will find like-minded people, it's awesome. But I definitely understand that I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be able to find these people instantly, but I still need to kind of find some type of element of consistency. I still need to stream on a consistent basis in order for people to actually see that, okay, this guy's kind of doing something. Maybe we need to kind of give him a chance or whatever. So yeah, let's just do this. Let's see. Okay, now we see the reference. I kind of wanted to see reference in order to properly misplace everything, so get rid of this. Okay, let's just make Skull pretty close to what he looks like there. Its positioning and the rest of the things. So I'm going to use probably a perspective tool for it. Just position it a little bit better. Again, it doesn't need to be 100% right, but at least it needs to be placed in a certain place. That's probably not necessarily working. Okay, now it works better. The perspective goes there. It's a good thing that I spent time drawing this this tattoo before. Again, it's not accurate, but since I don't want to spend more time on redrawing it again, we're just going to take it from here. Why are we not seeing it? Layers are working pretty weirdly here. So okay, we'll place the skull properly, at least pretty close to what it needs to be placed. This thing is not necessarily important. It actually kind of in the proper place. This thing is kind of in the right place. And we're going to keep the rest. I'm going to smooth out this element. Is it it? Yeah, maybe we need to tone it down a little bit in opacity before merging them together, because that way we will have a little bit more adjustments. We still need to repaint them and give them a little bit more proper color, but again, that way we don't need to repaint the whole skin. We just need to make small adjustments. But with 100, it's kind of like there's two completely different values here. So I'll just make them pretty close to values and merge them, and then put those things inside, and yeah, I guess it works. And the last thing that we're going to do before finishing stream, like we have about like 15 minutes or so, is to get rid of these areas. There's multiple ways to do this. Let's try our smudge brush that could create these kind of smudge transitions. But it's actually not necessarily the best idea to do this though. I don't know. I'm still adjusting to these brushes. I don't have a clue. Like when I created them, I kept in mind that I need to create a set of brushes that will imitate the real brushes, but I still not adjusted to using them yet, and this is something that I will adjust to do with time. And this is one of the reasons why I'm studying these portraits, just basically learn how to do this. Again, slowly but surely I will get there, but I hope it will come intuitively though, because again, we're not color picking, we're trying to pick colors by eye. This is the whole idea. Like, even if these colors are not going to be the same, even if I'm going to use slightly different color temperatures and etc., it still needs to look cohesive, so and impressionable some way. But for now, I'm not like putting too much pressure on this yet, so it doesn't have to be perfect. What I need now is just a basic experience, and once I will pass this basic experience, I will move on to something a little bit more controlled, I would say. The idea here is to find a proper step-by-step process of dealing with portrait study that we can emulate then into an actual process of painting. And the thing is, every step of the way already theoretically structured, but the question is not in the structure of the process itself, like not the stages that I'm having problems with. I'm having problems with passes. I already talked about the difference between passes and stages in artistic progress process. So the passes, it's let's start with the stages. So stages, this is something that basically is universal for every type of art creation. So it doesn't matter what you're creating, the stages of creating this something could be pretty similar. So again, it starts with an idea, then this idea progresses into something a little bit more serious, like the exploration of some kind, like brainstorming. Then you will continue into sketching stages. Then you will probably work on values, on colors, and on composition, etc. And basically it will end up with the rendering. This is not the actual kind of process, I'm just like picking the pieces. So these things that you will need to do regardless of work that you're doing. So because we need to go through the stages of rendering in order to get to the finish. So we need to go through the idea stage in order to produce some type of idea. We need to go through the composition stage in order to understand how to tell the story and how to properly arrange things in space and etc. So these stages are universal for every artwork, regardless of what you are focusing on. Concept design, illustration, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters though is the passes. Like the passes are a little bit more unique to the process that you're working with. So for instance, if we were working with the studying, the passes are going to be specifically for the studying purposes, and you need to, and passes, this is something that builds inside of the stage. So again, like one stage could have like from 1 to 3 passes, or usually not more. It all depends on artistic preferences and complexity of the project, of course, but usually not more than 3 parts, 3 passes, and these passes are basically telling us the progression from stage within the stage. So again, for instance, we have stage 1, the idea. Stage 1, the idea could have 3 passes. The first pass could be just writing things down, writing the idea down, laying out the idea in words, trying to explain it, describe it the best way that we could in words. If we're a little bit more visual person, we could try to do the same thing with the idea by trying to sketch something. It could be our first pass, or it could be our second pass. It's like for me, for instance, my first pass is just write down everything in words, because I'm working better with the words. Words, by the way, is a visual cue too. It will help your brain to spark your imagination. This is the way that first pass for me is going. It's just basically working with words. The second pass in the first stage for me personally is now trying to explore this idea, like brainstorm it into a sketch. So now I have the written information. This written information has already created some type of kind of picture in my brain, and now I have some type of ability to actually now start to translate this idea from my brain. By the way, we need to save. If I'm going to lose it, it's going to be pretty not cool. So we just will need to redo everything. It's not that big of a deal, but still kind of time consuming. So yeah, the second pass for me, it's a brainstorming, and this brainstorming already works with the visuals. So now we starting to add some visual elements to it, besides the text, so like the pictures. So the next, and I guess then I will go through the brainstorming stage. This is still a second pass, and third pass for me when I'm going into the trying to work on final description, and based on this final description draw a final sketch, because usually you have every information that you need if you do this properly up to this stage, and you kind of will be able to proceed into the next stages. Okay, this is pretty weird color here. Doesn't have to be that yellowish. Let's make it a little bit warmer, brownish. So, and because I will go through all these 3 passes, it will allow me to understand when exactly my first stage is going to end, and I will be able to transition into the second stage, which is the composition. So, and for me personally, the passes stages are completely like, you need to approach them a little bit differently. Again, stages is something that every artist should approach in a similar way, but passes it's something that you have to work on your own. So you need to try to see how your brain works, what logical for you, what logical progression in work creation works for you the best. Because some people will work with text better than with pictures, and for you maybe it's better to actually start with the writing things down before going into the sketching. Some people are a little bit more visual in terms of the pictures, and they will right away start with the pictures. They don't necessarily work with words that much. But again, I would suggest use whatever puts the more visual information in your brain. And since text creates some visuals in our brain, of course pictures will create some images in our brain, and then combining those images we will be able to push the idea through. So there is a quite big misconception in artists, in the beginners, and beginner artists. They kind of thinking that everything is going to just right away pop up from their hand right away, like the whole image is going to pop out like a freaking picture. It's not working that way. It's step-by-step process. It's layer by layer of layering on top of another, and each previous layer will tell more and more and more, and in the end you will end up with the final picture. So it doesn't work right away like freaking photographic memory. It's not working like it. And this is the biggest misconception, and I actually sat in this misconception for a lot of years. I truly thought that this is the way that art is supposed to work, like we just need to picture things in our brain and that's it. Nope. We have like vague images, and then we need to find a way to put these images from our brain into the canvas. And the way that we need to do this is to enrich, hopefully I will say the word right, enrich, basically get our visuals richer with every layer that we're going to work with. So this is the reason why first I started with this, like with the big shapes and inaccurate thing, and only then went to the next stage. So and of course, and the only reason why I approached the study in this way, because my main goal here is not to work on line, but instead work on shapes and understanding the values and overall form. Because of this, I started with the shape. If I would draw this on my own, like my personal project, and we will get there later, then I would start with an actual line first, but the sketching, and it would have a little bit different passes. Stages will still stay the same, but the passes will change within those stages. So passes are kind of like, and the thing is, like, I understood this throughout the years. I figured this thing out about the difference between passes and difference between stages like a couple of years ago. But the problem is I didn't start to utilize it properly in my work. I still was kind of, I don't know, I guess it was kind of like a bad habit that I couldn't get rid of. I get used to it, and I viewed everything as the mixture of the stages. So I didn't consider like, okay, this is the first pass of the stage, this is the second or third pass of the stage, like, or even if I did consider them, I didn't use them properly. Because if we're going to talk about stages, stage usually just tells the artist where you are in the process, like how many steps you need to go before you will end the work, like in general. But the passes, this is something that dictates the actual information that you need before you will get to the next stage. Then the proper amount of information, visual information and non-visual information that you need before you will move on to the next stage. And of course, all this information combined will lead you to understanding what exactly you need to finish your work. And this is something that beginners are still kind of struggling with, and partially I'm still struggling with it too. Like this idea that I don't know where exactly I need to finish the work, and this is one of the things that people are truly not sure of, like where exactly I need to finish my work. Like, do I still continue to render it, or should I just basically end it here? And passes, this is the answer for you. If you will ask yourself questions in terms of the passes, you will understand what you need to achieve within a certain pass, within a stage. In the end, the answer will be found automatically. It needs to be a little bit warmer. Like the overall feel of this, there's like too cool. Maybe we could go into the minor adjustments and actually make an overall adjustment for the steampunk. Let's see. By the way, we kind of need to finish, so we actually kind of almost done. The last thing that we need to do is like cover this area quite a bit, because there's a big transition. And after this, I guess we will work with the color adjustments, and then we will end up finishing it for now. So again, I will try to stream these streams occasionally. Again, usually I'm going to stream them on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but not every week, unfortunately. So because right now I have like a pretty big workload that I'm still kind of hoping to unload myself, if I'm properly saying it, whatever. So I'm still struggling here, and I just don't have time to do this on a constant basis, although I would love to. I mean, I love to talk about WWE, I'm watching it constantly, and working with fun art is something that will help me as an artist too, to basically push myself within the community and attract an audience too. So this is definitely something that I will continue to do, whatever. Like, this is not something that I will just try it for a couple of months and stop and never going to get back to. I will get back to it eventually, but first we need to balance lots of stuff before I will fully commit to it on a constant schedule basis. So again, I will put the information and scheduled events on the stream, if these streams are going to go up. I will try to do at least 2 streams per month, before or after the major pay-per-views, or after major Raw or SmackDown, etc. This is something that I personally want to do, because it brings me a lot of joy to talk about WWE. So yeah, I guess let's just slowly finish this thing. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to work with the filter, not the regular filter. We're going to work with a add filter mask, and oh snap, this is pretty sick. Invert. We're going to work with color adjustments. First, we'll try them. So here we need to find a little bit more warmer colors. What's happening? One of the things that I need to do is I need to learn how to work with these curves. This is something that I'm not necessarily that good at. Okay, yeah, probably color balance is better. Cyan. Yeah, this is probably going to work a little bit better. So again, every time that you're going to work with color adjustments, you need to keep in mind that every adjustment needs to be super tiny. I mean, you're never going to go like more than 15 or whatever, even sometimes even more than 12. Of course, it all depends on your style, I mean, that you're working with. If you're working with realism, you need to keep things subtle. If you're working with stylization, of course, you could push things a little bit harder. But again, we're working with realism, with kind of slightly maybe stylized. I'm not trying to go with super hyper real stuff. The main idea is to create realistic representation with slight stylization, or acceptable stylization. Okay, so if you don't know what it's affecting, go to the limits and see what is affecting, and it will help you to understand what to push and what not to. I'm still personally adjusting to everything here. I don't have that much experience in everything that I'm doing here, so for me personally this is kind of a new thing. I guess learning along the way. Not that I don't know what I'm doing, I mean, I know what I want to achieve in terms of the look, but I'm not necessarily that aware of what instrument will give me this, or like the thing that I need. And with time I will figure this out. Again, since we're working with coolness and warmness, we need to make this one a little bit more warmer in one area and a little bit more cooler in other area, but overall in general picture needs to be warmer. Since we're working with the filter, we can apply it and basically switch on and off and see the changes. So it's kind of like adjustment layer in Photoshop. So again, this one will affect most of the skin. So skin definitely needs to be a little bit warmer. Not that warm. Again, up to 5 probably could work. Okay, let's see what this one will affect. Okay, this will affect small areas, and these areas actually kind of has to be cooler than anything else. Let's just go with -5. I don't believe that we need to push it too much. We also have lots of yellow, I believe. Actually not much yellow. No, we actually have lots of yellow. So this thing probably going to be more towards blue. Although it has like a yellowish tone to it, but I believe it's going to be better looking as a blue. And again, we're not going to push blue that far. Like just 5 for now. And this is, by the way, one of the things that is pretty hard to break a habit. We people like equal numbers everywhere and similar numbers. So if I started to go with a pattern of 5 here, I will repeat this pattern everywhere. Sometimes it's not a good idea. Sometimes you need to go with like 2, 3, combination of 8, 7, 1, whatever. But first and foremost, because I don't know what it's doing still, and just like trying to see what it's going to look like, I'm kind of just trying, and it's definitely not going to look okay. This thing actually could go a little bit towards yellow. This is the overall feel of the, because this way it's kind of too red. It's like no, it's too red. But if we're going to go in a little bit more like yellowish, okay, this is too much. But again, like -5 here is not working. It's too much. Maybe like 2. 2 actually works. Like go with plus, definitely not working. Yeah, -2, so maybe even -1. Yeah, actually -1 works better. Yeah. Let's go with -1. Okay, so usually you're going to make this color adjustments a little bit later on stages, but it's a good idea to actually make color adjustments along the way, because the more you will color adjust, the better final color is going to look like. Because I know like lots of artists are working like till the end with bad colors, and then in the end they're just working with the color balance and calling it finished. But it's actually not necessarily a good idea, because we're going to talk about colors in later sessions in depth, once I will get a little bit more experience, because right now I have a lot of information theoretically, but practically it's not necessarily applicable yet. So once I will put all things together, practice and theory together, I will talk about color and the reasons why we need to start with working with color right away, like as fast as possible, and this idea of starting to with black and white and only then add a color on top of it, it's not necessarily efficient for our work in the end. We might use this method if we don't have time, if we have like strict deadline and we need to pass this deadline. But if we have time, okay, let's see. Okay, this is pretty interesting. If we're going to push it into blue, it's definitely not going to work. So let's just push it quite a bit in yellow. But it makes everything yellow, this is the problem. I believe these things kind of could actually go a little bit bluish. Because again, we need to create a certain amount of contrast. And yes, it kind of creates like purple-ish look for the steampunk's hair, but it actually looks much better than in the original, because original it's kind of has one color and just different variations of tone variations. Here we have a little bit more color shift and color contrast. It's pushed slightly, maybe it's too much, maybe like 1. But it's definitely we'll see the difference. Preserve luminosity, or without preserve luminosity. Preserve luminosity actually gives us a little bit more contrast, darkens the areas and makes things a little bit more pop out. Yeah, let's just keep it on that. We don't have anything green here, almost. The only place that we have green is in tattoo areas, so this is not going to give us anything. So and tattoo area is here. No, this is the overall skin. We need to make adjustments here with green. No, we can't. Again, we need to separate tattoo before doing this. And we actually can do this separately. We can work on the tattoo separately by making a selection of the filter and force filter to affect only the chosen area. So this is something that we always can change. So yeah, now let's see the difference. Let's just get rid of the guides, save, and see the difference between, and call it finish for today. So yeah, before, kind of dull, and after. You're better probably going to see the difference. Like, this is before. Okay, let's just put it closer. This is before. It's kind of dull, and after. It's a little bit warmer. It's a little bit more color balanced. It has a little bit more warmth, and I would say now a little bit more purple-ish tones here. When before that it had everything like just one color. That's it. It's probably going to be visible a little bit more with these red and blues. So let's see. I guess you get it. I mean, it's slight changes, but this changes actually gives us a lot of good direction that we now will be able to work with. I probably will actually apply this layer. I mean, I don't believe that it's going to ruin anything. I mean, it actually works. I like how it looks. I like the overall feel from the far. Like, by the way, if we're going to look from at it from the far, we actually can call it done already. There's no need to push it further, like in reality. But I still kind of want to push this render a little bit further and render it a little bit more realistically, although not too much. One of the things that I'm kind of interested in more is the textures. Right now we have kind of not necessarily proper textures, we have random things here. What I need to do is to basically show the texture of the skin, show the texture of the hair, the texture of the ear, make ear a little bit more kind of rendery looking, but not too much, because again our main focus is always going to go in the eyes area and the face overall. So we're not going to render ear more than we're going to render the face overall, because we have to maintain the render fall off. Like, the primary area of focus is always ears and usually ear. What ears? Eyes, nose, and mouth. The general face area. The rest we could basically bleed out, like render, fall off. Detail less. But still, lots of work done in the color division still, and I believe we're still lacking form in certain areas. This is something that we need to work on. Like, there's definitely lacking form here, we need to create better transitions here, and a lot of soft transitions, and etc. At some point, like, I believe, I'm not going to look at the photo necessarily anymore. Like, I will probably, like, occasionally will look at the photo, but I believe we don't need a photo anymore. Like, at this particular point, we could just work with, like, without a photo, without any problems, because we already have underlying details. The only thing why we need photo is probably just to basically check out the form, check out the features to make them look a little bit more like CM Punk. So, for instance, this area, this area, for instance, appears a little bit more curved in our drawing, but in reality it's a little bit more curved in another direction, and it creates completely different expression. So this is something that we might like catch up and work better. Also, frown here is a little bit closer and it's too far apart. The eye direction, the placement of the eyes, the shadows under the eyes, so there's a lot of work to do. But still, it's a good thing still that we get to this level. Again, I guess, yeah, we're going to wrap up the session. The last thing that I'm going to say is, again, just to repeat myself, that I will try to stream these streams as much as I can for now. I don't want to completely cancel them. I still want to stream at least once a month. So there's going to be probably 2 streams at least once a month, one by one. I mean, there's going to be a Wednesday stream where we're going to talk about Raw, SmackDown, and there's going to be, and continue to draw CM Punk, I guess. If I'm not going to finish it separately, who knows? Maybe I will get inspired. Either way. And next day, the Thursday, we're going to talk about the rest of the stuff within WWE, like NXT and 205 Live and etc. So I don't believe that next week I'm going to stream. Probably I will be back either before Royal Rumble. It all depends what changes we're going to see on Raw. Like, for instance, the day that when new faces will start to emerge from NXT on Raw and on SmackDown, this is probably the week that I will try to stream in order to share my excitement about those people coming into WWE. So, for instance, if we're going to see Lars Sullivan, although I'm not big of a fan of Lars Sullivan, but still, if he will enter the battlefield, if he will enter the WWE, it's going to be definitely an exciting time to see how he will adapt to the changes. Like the return of Kevin Owens, return of Sami Zayn, like EC3 coming to WWE, and lots of these stuff I will definitely cover, like Nikki Cross, Lacey Evans, even Heavy Machinery. Of course, it all depends on how exactly they're going to be added into the roster. If it's going to be like a super surprise and boom, then I will talk about it. If not, then I might skip to something bigger. But in general, it all depends what will WWE give us. So the more excitement I will get from WWE, the more chances that I will stream things. Because one of the reasons why I stopped streaming, because WWE kind of started to fall a couple of months ago and basically headed nowhere almost. There was pretty bad feuds, a lot of injuries. Again, Roman Reigns got diagnosed with leukemia, and lots of my favorite guys basically got injured, left to heal, like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and lots of others, and it's just kind of super weird. It was just super weird timing, and I didn't have any motivation to talk about it, and I decided I'd rather focus my time on other stuff. So in most cases, our streams probably will depend on what will happen in WWE more than with this. So, and because of this progression of these things artistically is going to be super slow for now. But at some point I will catch up and I will go a little bit faster. So yeah, I guess this is kind of sums up the session. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here. Have a nice day or night, and see you in the next session, whenever it's going to be. I don't know. Hopefully we'll see you in the next month. I definitely believe that we're going to see the streams before Royal Rumble, or after, we'll see, or after Takeover, we'll see. I don't know. Bye. Bye says bye too.